Good day, everyone. Welcome to another edition of NBP Hot Seat. My name is Ranti Warfi from Nuclear Business Platform, and today we have a very special guest, Datuk Raja Dr. Abdul Aziz. He has over 30 years of experience in nuclear industry, and he oversaw ensuring to safe operation of nuclear activities in Malaysia, and also serving as Director General of Atomic Energy Licensing Board, or now known as Department of Atomic Energy Atom Malaysia. And he also previously held a position in International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA in Vienna, Austria, as a Director of Nuclear Security, Department of Safety and Security, and also as a Special Assistant to the Director General for Nuclear Science and Application. And today, Dato currently serves as a principal advisor at the ECEOS and also ELIPS. And he currently serves as a board member of Malaysian Atomic Energy Licensing Board. Okay, Dato, how are you today, Dato?
Good morning. Fine, thank you. And thank you very much for having me on your show.
The pleasure is mine, Dato. Okay, in today's discussion, we will explore Malaysia efforts to achieve carbon neutrality by 2050 and the in the future potential role of nuclear energy in this ambitious journey, Dato. And as you know, and what do you think? How realistic is this goal, considering the country continue as to their reliance on fossil fuels? And what is the concrete step for the government to take to meet this target, Dato?
Thank you. Thank you. Let me begin by telling you what Malaysia's commitments are towards carbon neutrality. And our commitment is to achieving carbon neutrality by 2050, like many other countries in this region.
Yeah.
And this aligns with the National Energy Policy, the National Energy Transition Plan, and also the roadmap that has been developed. And to reach this ambitious goal, a series of specific and concrete steps across various sectors is required and is being implemented. Now, the government has already initiated key initiatives to align with these carbon neutrality objectives. And one very significant step involves the phased retirement of coal-fired capacity.
Okay.
And this is very unique because the government plans to retire approximately 7 gigawatts of coal-fired capacity by 2039. And this includes the retirement of several major plants in Malaysia. However, the government also intends to add around 2.8 gigawatts of new coal-fired capacity and two 700 megawatts units is expected to join the Malaysia's coal-fired. But I suppose this will be the newer and cleaner technologies. So on one hand, we are phasing out, but we are also introducing new but cleaner technologies. But eventually, by 2050, all the coal-fired plants will be phased out. But in line with its commitment to carbon neutrality, Malaysia also revised its renewable targets and increased its objective for renewable capacity, raising the goal from a previous target of 20% to now 31% by 2025. That's huge. This adjustment is driven by Malaysia's rising demand for electricity and by its emission reduction controls. Now, notably, I would like to mention in May 2023, recently, about a couple of weeks ago, I think 12 weeks ago, the Ministry of Economy unveiled an even more ambitious renewable energy target, setting a goal to achieve 70% renewables in the country's energy mix by 2050. And this represents a substantial increase from the previous target set in 2021, which aimed at 40%. Now, to achieve this new target, Malaysia anticipates to to a significant investment of close to 150 billion US dollars. And these funds will be allocated towards enhancing grid infrastructure, implementing energy storage systems, and covering network systems, which is very essential for the renewable system. Now, the ministry also has earmarked around 11 million or so to facilitate installation of rooftop solar systems in the government facilities nationwide within the next 6 months, underscoring the very strong commitment to expand solar energy. Another noteworthy development is the lifting of the ban of the export of renewable energy, previously implemented in October 2021. This is a very strategic move, and it's aimed at fostering development of Malaysia's clean energy sector and promoting non-fossil power generation, but also to create Malaysia as a hub for renewable energy, and this is very important. Malaysia derives approximately 17% from renewable sources, 16% is from hydro, or 1% from solar and biomass.
Okay.
But Malaysia's overarching goal of achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 represents a significant commitment to reduce carbon emissions. Now, let me turn to your second part of your question,
Okay.
which is about nuclear power.
Yeah.
I'm very happy to note that the Minister of Economy has emphasized that Malaysia is keeping the option of nuclear power generation open, but is taking a very cautious approach before integrating it into the nation's energy mix.
Yeah.
You also highlighted the necessity of addressing the energy trilemma, emphasized that given the complexities of the situation, the country cannot afford to miss any potential low-carbon energy source, and particularly recognize the promise of small modular reactors in this context. Yeah. And this was also echoed by the Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister, who stated that the government is actively exploring integration of nuclear power. So that is in a nutshell what's happening in Malaysia right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dato, as I know, Malaysia.
I'm speaking too much, I think.
Yeah, it's okay, Dato. So much insight. Okay, as I know, Malaysia had once robust nuclear energy program, Dato. The initial plan to have 2 nuclear power plant, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that
that was then?
Yeah, that was then. And that in your opinion, if Malaysia want to, we want a nuclear power plant, what regulatory or legislative change need to happen to Malaysia to need to able to adopt nuclear power again in the future? And what do you think about the public, how to manage public support and opposition in this nuclear power country?
Very interesting question. I think there are 2 parts. It's a 2-part question. One, whether we should be revisiting nuclear power. In my personal opinion, and I have to underline that it's my personal opinion, Malaysia revisiting nuclear power in Malaysia is a very complex endeavor. And to do that, it is essential to address various concerns associated with this prospect.
Yeah.
While you and I, we are the converted, there are undeniable benefits of nuclear energy, such as low greenhouse gas emissions and reliable electricity generation. It is crucial to approach this with caution and foresight, especially considering Malaysia's previous experience with the nuclear energy program, and you rightly said so. Now, one primary concern is the revival of Malaysia's nuclear energy program. It requires a strong and sustained political commitment. The government must ensure that there is a clear and unwavering commitment from all political stakeholders, as nuclear energy decisions are long-term and transcend political cycles. So we have We have the elections, national elections every 5 years.
Same with
Now,
Indonesia, Dato.
yeah, I know, similar, very similar, and we are very strong democratic processes within our countries. Now, establishing a bipartisan, but better still is a pan-partisan, because it's not only about political parties; it's about all parties. A pan-partisan party across party consensus to oversee and guide nuclear program is a necessary approach. And this would help depoliticize the issue, ensure continuity, and provide a stable foundation for nuclear energy planning and implementation. Now, without this political commitment and general consensus, the program's future can be uncertain, leading to inefficiencies and potential setbacks. Now, there are a few things that we have to look at. It's the safety and security concerns are paramount. The waste management, the safe disposal of long-term management of nuclear waste are significant challenges. Yeah, I think it's similar for all countries. The cost and financing. Nuclear power projects require substantial upfront investments, and there are long construction timelines. It's not long, really. Some of them are long, but an average of 6 years can lead to cost overruns. Now, a very important issue is public perception and education. And public perception of nuclear power can strongly influence its acceptance. But for Indonesia, public acceptance is very high, more than 60%, but yet you don't see nuclear power. So it's not an answer to everything, but still it's important. Now, technological advancements, we are leveraging the latest technological advancements, such as the SMRs, which is designed to enhance safety and efficiency. And I think Malaysia should consider how newer technologies align with its energy goals and whether they offer a more favorable risk-benefit profile. And this is very important. We should be looking at international cooperation, collaborating with international nuclear organizations such as the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, can provide Malaysia with best guidance, best practices, guidance on standards, and support in safe and responsible implementation of nuclear power. The environmental impact is another issue. Assessing the environmental impact of nuclear power, including its contribution to reducing greenhouse gas emissions, is essential. Now, revisiting nuclear power in Malaysia demands a very comprehensive and well-considered approach, addressing political commitments, safety and security, waste management costs, public perceptions, technological advancements, international cooperation, and environmental impact. These are all the critical aspects. By evaluating these concerns and planning for their mitigation, Malaysia can make an informed decision. I think the most important thing is whatever decision is made, that decision is an informed decision, not based on sentiments, not based on information. It should be based on information, and that's very important for everything. Now, what should we do? What regulatory legislative changes would be necessary? That's your second part of your question.
Yes.
Now, it's strange, really. Even if we do go for nuclear power, or we don't, we will have to change. We have to repeal the existing regulatory and legislative framework. Now, the current regulatory framework, the Atomic Energy License Act of 1984, or it is called the Act 304, while serving its purpose, requires significant updates and adaptations to align with complexities, long-term nature of low power generation, new technological advancements. With SMRs, you can expect the evacuation planning zones or emergency planning zones would be drastically reduced. So those will have to be changed to fit. One important aspect of Act 304 has been the license duration and renewal. the board can only extend for 3 years. My driving license can be extended to 10 years.
Yeah.
It used to be every year, but that also has changed over the years. So I think we're looking at, to be practical, up to 60 years, and IAEA is looking at perhaps 80 to 100 years, because the way in which reactors safety seems to be proving that it can be licensed up to 100 years. So maybe a 40, 40, 20 year extension. So that's very important. We have to also look at, Malaysia has done its ENIR phase 1
Yes. Mm.
mission.
Yeah.
So we will have to be looking at that again, because there were several, although there were good practices recorded and recognized,
Yes.
there were also recommendations made to ensure that everything is well and good. So we will have to address those recommendations. The third part would be international legal instruments, because the nearest or soon to be commission is the Bangladeshi
Yes.
for nuclear power plants. Malaysia is still not a signatory to the Convention on Nuclear Safety. So we are not even privy to some of the safety framework of Bangladesh, or be able to look at how they organize their nuclear safety. And so we've got to look at how we should be signing the nuclear safety conventions, and with that we need to change our regulatory and legal framework as well. And so in order for us to be able to be significant and contribute positively to the region's development program for nuclear power, we have to adapt to the highest standards of safety, security, safeguards, liability. And then we will be speaking from a higher moral standing to be telling that this is how it should be, because this is how we do that. And we see that in Austria, although they have no nuclear power program, but they are still parties to many of the conventions. They have a moral and higher moral standing to be telling their neighbors, this is how we should be conducting nuclear or power program. So public engagement should be there, more transparency and disclosure of relevant information, but certainly not all information, because some of them are related to nuclear security. But I think we should be also not only looking at our Atomic Energy Licensing Act, but also looking at the other environmental safety standards, because these are all interrelated, and it's not only the nuclear legislation that needs to be looked at. We also, and financial mechanisms needs to be looked at. So to summarize, the reintroduction of nuclear power into Malaysia's energy portfolio is multifaceted process, necessitating thorough legislative and regulatory revisions. And I think this is what needs to be done, really. And I think it's the same for all countries within the ASEAN.
Yeah. Okay, maybe to conclude that, based on your experience, 30 years in nuclear industry, and also have worked in IAEA, what do you think? What makes the difference between the country like South Korea, China, and Japan, and us in ASEAN? I mean, like Indonesia and Malaysia, we have the same years need to explore nuclear as South Korea, for example, in the 1950. What's different? Does it make that they are now so advanced in nuclear technology, Dato?
Good question, but nonetheless,
Yes.
there is national sovereignty involved here. And so, but most importantly is these countries have decided to embark on nuclear power. And rightly so, and it was easier then than it will be now, because with Chernobyl, with Fukushima, with many safeguards issue related incidents in the Middle East, safeguards has changed. It used to be it's only the comprehensive safeguards. Now it's the additional protocol. It used to be only the nuclear safety convention, but now you have the joint convention on waste management and management of fuel, spent fuel.
Yes.
So there are many new treaties and conventions now that you will have to be a party to before we decide on. It is for the better. I think it is good. But nonetheless, just before I left for the IEA, while I was still working in Malaysia, I met the South Korean ambassador, and he said, at that time the price of electricity in Korea was 4 US cents, and in Malaysia was about 7 US cents. And he says, it is good that we embarked on nuclear power very early.
Yes.
And that has provided stability in our cost, and much cheaper also, not open to changes in oil and gas prices. And so that is a very important issue. But nonetheless, we have this. We are blessed. Both Indonesia and Malaysia are blessed with oil,
natural, yes,
and
natural
natural
resources.
gas, natural resources. So the decisions that were taken was appropriate for the time that we took it. But then now we know that it is the fossil fuels that is killing the environment, affecting people's health. So we will have to change and see what's best. If we look at renewable energy, hydro potential is almost nil in Malaysia, at least. If you depended more on solar, there are challenges. Although there's a lot of sun in this part of the world, but there's also clouds and rain. And many things which will affect. So at best, it is intermittent. So you will need a lot of storage battery space. You need to upgrade the grid. Upgrading the grid, because we are so used to dispatchable power and baseload. So having intermittent, you've got to change the way the grid is managed to cater for this intermittency. And so we are talking about 200 billion ringgit Malaysia just to cater for these changes. So it needs a lot of money. But I think with the new technologies, with SMR, maybe it will provide a reason for us to look again at nuclear power and how it can play a good part in this. Land usage is becoming an issue. Solar farms need a lot of area. We can't just start covering our land with solar panels. It has to be managed in a way that it is done. But I personally think that solar power needs a very stable non-carbon source to make it work. And vice versa, nuclear power needs renewable energies to be more acceptable and to be more complementing what the nation's aspirations are for zero emission country come 2050.
Okay, Dato. Thank you. Thank you so much for the insight for this morning. And I'm
Okay.
afraid that's all the time that we got to. Maybe you have a last what that you want to say, Dato?
Yeah, I always end my talk
Mm.
with a quotation, and I'm paraphrasing this quotation of Marie Curie.
Okay.
She said a very wise. She says, "You fear what you don't understand,
Yep.
but once you understand, you will overcome the fear." I'm paraphrasing, of course, but what it means is, do not be afraid of nuclear. And nuclear is something that you need to understand. Of course, there are challenges, but so is nuclear, so is solar power, and so is oil and gas.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think this is what I wanted to say. Uh, with engagement, have an open mind. Let's look at nuclear power, uh, and when you decide with an informed decision.
Okay. Thank you. Okay,
Ranti,
Dato.
thank you.
Thank you so much for today. Have a great day.